16 heavy-lift drones carried 180 tons of steel and concrete into the mountains of southwest China. Not for a demo flight, for 3 electricity transmission towers in difficult terrain. The job took 3 days. The traditional method could have required about a month just to build temporary cableways before the main work even started. That is the number contractors notice: 3 days instead of 30. Roughly 27 days of access work, waiting, labor risk, and temporary infrastructure moved out of the schedule. The drones did not win because they looked futuristic. They won because the ground route was slow. And that is why China's heavy-lift drones matter. They do not have to replace every crane. They only have to make the slowest part of construction look outdated. For years, drones were treated like cameras, toys, delivery experiments, or military technology. China is now pushing them into a different category: industrial equipment. Steel, concrete, power line parts, emergency supplies, inspection tools, replacement components. These are not consumer deliveries. These are the materials that keep infrastructure projects moving. On easy construction sites, this does not matter as much. If the site has roads, space, and flat ground, trucks and cranes already do the job. But many valuable projects are not built in easy places. Transmission lines cross mountains and forests. Wind farms rise on ridges. Solar projects spread across deserts. Pipelines run through remote land. Mines, ports, bridges, telecom towers, and disaster zones all create the same problem. The last few kilometers can be more expensive than the first few thousand. Their value appears when the highway ends. A container ship can move steel across an ocean. A train can move it across a country. A truck can move it across a province. Then the project reaches a mountain, a valley, a washed-out road or protected terrain, and suddenly, the final stretch becomes the bottleneck. That is the gap heavy-lift drones are built for. They do not need to compete with trucks on a highway. Their value appears when the highway ends. When the road is missing, the terrain is too steep, the cableway would take weeks to build, or a crew has to move small loads again and again by hand, the calculation changes. In that situation, a drone is not trying to be the cheapest vehicle. It is trying to remove the delay. And delay is where construction burns money. A remote project still needs engineers, supervisors, equipment, transport, lodging, safety crews, permits, and coordination. If the site waits for access, all of that becomes overhead. People are paid while the work slows down. Machines sit idle. Weather windows close. Deadlines move. Contractors lose margin before the main construction even starts. That is what makes the Yunnan case so important. 180 tons in 3 days means an average of about 60 tons per day. For a mountain power line project, that is not a gimmick. That is industrial logistics. Now add the time difference. If the cableway method takes about 30 days and drones reduce the delivery operation to 3, the project saves roughly 27 days on setup and access. Our rough calculation is simple. If a remote infrastructure site costs $10,000 per day in crews, machines, lodging, supervision, and overhead, 27 avoided days equals $270,000. At $20,000 per day, the avoided time cost passes $500,000. That is before penalties, weather delays, helicopter costs, temporary road work, or environmental restoration. So the business case is not complicated. A drone does not have to be cheaper than a truck on a perfect road. It has to be cheaper than waiting. That is why China is taking this seriously. The country is building a larger, low-altitude economy around drones and unmanned aircraft. That includes cargo drones, inspection systems, emergency aircraft, industrial drone logistics, airspace management, route planning, certification, and maintenance. The official forecast for this sector is enormous: 2 trillion yuan by 2030. Even if the final number is smaller, The direction is clear. China wants low-altitude airspace to become a real transport layer. The hardware is already moving in that direction. Sichuan Tengden has tested a cargo drone with a payload of about 2 metric tons. Another Chinese unmanned cargo aircraft, the SA-750U, has been tested with a payload of up to 3.2 metric tons. Aerospace Times Fei Peng is pushing cargo drones into overseas markets. Its FP981C Sagittarius cargo drone has been priced at around $400,000 to $420,000. Reuters also reported that Fei Peng crossed 100 million yuan in annual revenue for 2 straight years. Those details change the story. A real price, real buyers, real revenue, export plans. That is how a viral machine becomes equipment. This section should feel like a contractor's cost discussion, not sci-fi. And construction companies know how to think about equipment. They calculate rental cost, electricity or fuel, crew time, utilization, maintenance, insurance, idle machinery, penalty risk, and lost days. The drone enters that calculation as another way to move material when the old route is too slow. That is where the cranes are next idea becomes interesting. A tower crane is not going to disappear. Large cranes can lift loads that drones cannot touch. High-rise buildings, ports, factories, and bridge construction will still need heavy lifting on site. But cranes do not control every part of vertical movement. A lot of construction work happens before the crane even matters. Getting parts to the site, moving tools across rough terrain, delivering cable drums, bringing replacement components after a storm, carrying steel frame sections to remote foundations, sending inspection equipment to a tower line, supplying crews on a ridge with no road. These jobs are smaller, uglier, and less glamorous than lifting a massive beam into place. But they cost money every day. And if a drone can do them without waiting for a road crew, a helicopter booking, or a temporary cableway, it has value immediately. Power grid construction is probably the first obvious market. A transmission line does not follow the easiest path for trucks. It follows the route the grid needs. That means mountains, forests, rivers, valleys, and places where access can become half the project. CGTN recently showed a dual drone system for power grid construction that can move more than 650 kilograms of material in mountainous terrain. That is exactly the type of job where heavy lift drones make sense first. The selling point is not crane-level payload. It is reaching terrible locations without rebuilding the entire site around access. The same logic applies after disasters. A flood washes out a road. A landslide blocks access. A storm damages a remote power line. A bridge inspection crew needs equipment on the wrong side of a river. In those situations, perfect efficiency is not the priority. Speed is. Getting a part there in 2 hours instead of 2 days can change the repair schedule. That is where drones stop looking futuristic and start looking practical. The bigger picture is even more important. If China can produce the drones, train operators, certify aircraft, manage routes, regulate low-altitude airspace, and connect drone fleets to construction companies, it gets more than one machine. It gets a new transport layer. Ground transport below, cranes and hoists on site, drones above. That is construction becoming three-dimensional. And the first country to make that system repeatable gets an advantage. Not in one viral project, in thousands of ordinary projects where time, terrain, and access decide the cost. There are still hard limits. Wind can stop flights. Rain can reduce reliability. Battery life limits range. Payload limits the market. A falling load can kill someone. Cities will regulate these machines heavily. Insurance companies will demand proof. Workers will not accept random heavy drones flying above them without strict control. But these limits do not kill the idea. They show where it starts. Mountains before downtowns. Power lines before skyscrapers. Emergency repairs before routine urban lifting. Industrial logistics before consumer delivery. That is still a large market, and China is moving early. The drone construction revolution will probably not begin with flying cars or futuristic air taxis. It will begin with boring problems that cost real money. Steel on the wrong side of a mountain, concrete stuck below a ridge, a repair crew waiting for parts, a power line project delayed by access roads, a contractor burning cash because the material is not where the work is. China's bet is that the air above a construction site is not empty space. It is unused infrastructure. If that bet works, cranes will not disappear. Trucks will not disappear. Workers will not disappear. But the construction site gets a new layer above it. The companies that learn to use that layer first may build faster, reach harder places, and cut delays the old method could never avoid. Cranes are not gone, but they may no longer work alone.